Okay. Hello. This is the Out of Bounds podcast. My name is Adam Jabber. Romeo's making a lot of noise in the background. That's Ethan's dog, not my dog, in case anyone's wondering. We have a great episode with Pep Fujas coming now, like literally right now. Great episode with Pep. I really enjoyed talking to him about what they're doing at Wonder, what the whole idea behind the brand was, and honestly just getting to chat with him for a bit. Obviously he's an icon in the sport, and talking to him on a one-on-one basis was a really cool opportunity for me, and I'm really thankful, and I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. Before we get into the show, we have ads as usual. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Also, actually, before we do that, as I mentioned, on social media, on the internets, on Instagrams and Twitter and wherever else, if you buy stickers during the month of July, or in the next month, whenever this is coming out in July? Yeah, it's coming out in July. If you buy stickers in the month of July, we will donate every dollar of that sticker sale to Planned Parenthood, or an organization of your choosing. If you have a better one in mind, just put it in the show notes, and that's where the money will go. Or in the notes to the order, and that's where the money will go. Little scatterbrained here because Ethan kind of threw me under the bus and started this thing on a whim. But every dollar to Planned Parenthood, or an applicable organization that you think the money should go to. This is something that's really important to us here. It's something that is really important to a lot of people, and is very, very relevant to skiing, to cycling, to the outdoors, and to every woman in any of our lives. So, worth mentioning. Go do that. Buy some stickers on the website, outofcollective.com. Go do that. Now, on to other stuff. Revel Bikes is a sponsor of the Out of Bounds podcast. They have been a great partner for us so far. I got a sweet new bike out of the deal. It's rad. The new Rail 29 has been my go-to weapon of choice for the last month or so. I've really enjoyed it. It is a long travel 29er, 160 up front for me and 155 in the back of CBF suspension. Huge fan of the bike. Durability is insane because I've beat the shit out of it and treated it like garbage. And if you've ever ridden a bike with me, you know that I mean it. I am not nice to my bikes, and this thing has held up extremely well, as did the Rascal that I had beforehand. I'm a huge fan of the product, huge fan of the brand and what they're doing. Based in Carbondale, Colorado. This is a company that you should get behind. So go to the website, revelbikes.com. Check out what they have to offer. They even have a new gravel bike for this year. Let's check that out. Okay, cool. On to sponsor number 2 of the day, which is Woodchuck Cider. If you are a Bellini boy or a Bellini girl, please go get some Woodchuck Cider if you are over the age of 21. Woodchuck is a wonderful partner of ours based in Woodstock, Vermont. They are a cider company that makes basically everything from brunch boxes, which you'll see over here, which includes a Prosecco, a Mimosa, Paloma, and a Bellini. A Paloma is a grapefruit cocktail-inspired drink situation, and a Bellini is a peach-inspired situation. They have all kinds of different products. They are not ridiculously sweet. They taste good. They're light. It's not beer. So if you're looking to switch it up for your summer activities, go check out Woodchuck Cider. They also have variety packs and swag and all kinds of stuff on the website. They also have an awesome summer concert series that I will be at, featuring the Bleachers, the musical band, not the seating arrangement, in Middlebury. So check that out, and I'll see you there. Without further ado, actually minor further ado, as usual, we have new hats. If anybody wants hats, we got new hat situations. I don't know what my deal is with the situation today, but new hats are out now. Go to the website, outofcollective.com, add a sticker on there, and represent. Cool. On to our episode with Pep Fujas.
Yeah, let's see. I'm Pep. I grew up in Southern Oregon. I kind of developed a kind of a passion for skiing and the outdoors, and kind of followed that passion. Moved out to Colorado to pursue some mogul skiing aspirations. Was introduced to uh, freestyle skiing, and then parks were being developed. So started getting myself into park skiing, and yeah, then moved out to Mammoth Lakes, California. Um, and I ended up in Utah and have kind of been exploring ever since. Yeah, that's a kind of a short version. I've lived in Utah now for about almost 20 years.
No shit.
Um, and yeah, kind of took a very unconventional path. I feel like I've done a lot of like the standard things people do in life, kind of backwards. Um,
Like what?
well, like I started school. Yeah, started my undergrad when I was 34. Prior to that, so I met my girlfriend, now wife. We have 3 kids, but yeah, we met in Salt Lake. She moved in. We bought a house together, and we had a kid. Actually, we had a kid. The second one was on the way before we got married. Um, and then I decided to go back to school, which I just wrapped up in December.
Sick.
So yeah, it seems like the course of those events were like kind of in reverse order, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Can I ask you then
Yeah.
what? Because this is actually I tend to care more about the current stuff that people are doing more than like, no offense, the past stuff that people are doing. I just feel like it's more relevant to what's going on, and I feel like everybody knows who you are at this point. What what does it feel like to graduate, like to get through school? Like, do you feel better or worse? Because I kind of like juggle with this myself a lot. Like, is it actually worth going back to school? Do you feel any better? Do you feel like you gain something from it?
That's a great question. Yeah, I do feel like it was worthwhile for me. And I did gain a lot. I think the most I gained from it is organization and like communication benefits, as well as just kind of understanding the dynamics of business and how kind of the back end of businesses work. I went for just business administration, but you get a pretty uh, wide variety of courses, and um, you get a lot of like bits and pieces that help you kind of better formulate what businesses are trying to achieve and how do you actually go about achieving those things. I would suggest to people to go back before they have 2 kids with a third on the way. Because that that just scheduling piece is so challenging to find the time for, family and personal life, and then a job, and all the other things that come with being humans.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how you juggle all of those things at once. Like that seems like an impossible. I remember even just like when I was in college trying to figure out a way to do a job and go to school. Like that was like those two things alone felt like too much. So I can't
Yeah.
imagine juggling like being a husband, having kids. Like that's beyond me. And that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about is like having kids and having a career and being a skier and like all of those things that go into that, never mind the school aspect of it. Like how do you balance it? How do you manage your time? Like what, like tell me the secret, man. Like how do you figure it out?
I don't know, but if I figured that out, I'll let you know. No, yeah, I mean, my hat's off to my wife. She's like an incredible planner, and she's really good at like ironing out a lot of the details of what the family's doing, at what time and who needs to go where, and she's really good at that juggling act. Um, but yeah, balancing kind of a ski career with my job has been fairly seamless just because I'm still working in the industry, and a lot of the activities that I do are mutually beneficial to my other sponsors. And
Yeah.
yeah, and for our own, of course, like marketing
Right.
purposes.
Yeah, they get to use you.
Um,
Wonder gets to use you on both sides, like the actual job portion of it and the athlete portion of it, which has got to be nice.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the hard part is, of course, balancing the family life, and raising a family is not easy and requires a lot of additional help, which we don't really have much of here in Salt Lake. Her family lives out in Ohio, and my family lives out on the West Coast. So just like making sure that our family's taken care of while I'm off on a trip. So I've really been kind of relegated in a sense to doing more activities around here, and yeah, which is
Yeah.
nice. I get to explore my home range a lot more, and um,
Yeah. How
yeah, and stay close to them.
how into skiing are the kids at this point? Like, is it something that they're really into? Is it something that you feel like you're forcing on them almost, like, or just by like proximity in a sense, or are they actually really into it?
That kind of fluctuates. I mean, they've been very into it. Like every weekend we go skiing, and there's only been, maybe I can count on maybe like one hand the times where they've been like, "Yeah, I'd rather go like to the Ninja Warrior
Yeah.
place," or like,
Yeah.
"I'd rather go climbing," or
Do
something.
kid stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but for the most part, yeah, they're really into it, and it's nice. They'll ski in any condition. I don't care if it's blizzarding out or icy or whatever. They're always gonna have fun.
Sick. What's it been like to bring that kind of experience to your kids? I mean, you spent your whole life skiing at this point. Like, what is that feeling like?
Oh man, it's like the ultimate joy, because I get to experience skiing through them now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they start to learn things, and you see them pick up, even just like, I don't know, making rounded turns, or like this year, my girls started to figure out how to carve, and like to see them start to understand that and be like, wow, like, I don't know, they can, start to progress. And um, yeah, that's super fulfilling.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. I can't even imagine. Um, well, kind of shifting gears, let's talk about Wonder. First, for people that are unfamiliar, what is Wonder? What is your official title there? What do you do for the company? And let's kind of take it from there.
Cool. Yeah, Wonder Alpine. We're a materials company, and we're designing materials specifically for the ski application. Checker Spot's our parent company, and they're a material innovation company, um, whose feedstock is algae oil. So they create essentially like the base structure to then turn that microalgae into um, physical materials, and the physical materials have unique properties that are designed specifically for skiing, at least in this application. But Wonder Alpine is an outdoor brand, and we will be bringing some other product to market with other algae-based materials. So yeah, in it's always hard to condense into like
I feel like you're keeping
a really
secrets
small
here.
nutshell, right?
Yeah, I
um, yeah. So right now we have two materials that we're implementing into skis. One's a algae-based polyurethane, so it's a sidewall material that has greater impact resistance than traditional petroleum products, namely ABS, because that's essentially what everybody uses, and the only really real material that our industry has access to. There are a few companies that are doing some poured polyurethane sidewalls, but they're all kind of off the shelf, and they weren't designed specifically to be, put into skis. And we also have an algal hard foam that we lay up in between aspen and the core, and it helps with dampening the ski because it mitigates the vibration between the wood structures. Um, so yeah, it's a really fun company to be a part of because we're always thinking about ways that we can like reduce the amount of inputs or waste. And we actually are coming out with a binding plate this year that's made out of recycled flashings. So once you cut out the profile of the ski, you have essentially a bunch of waste. You have about 30% waste. And we're grinding that up and then reconstituting it and actually implementing it back into the ski. So we're trying to be like a very conscious company who's aware of the impacts that we're creating by being a manufacturer of hard goods, and trying to mitigate the waste and the impact that we have on our environment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge. I think that message has gone across really well, especially with people that actually seem to give a shit about the environment. I think it's huge what you guys are doing, and I also think it's fun or funny how you guys phrase it, because it's the second time I've heard someone from Wonder refer to themselves as a materials company. Like, and that's just an interesting way to think about skis, and it's also an interesting way to think about, I don't know, skiing in general, right? Because it puts the focus on the materials as opposed to putting the focus just on skis, because a lot of times ski companies just have this flagship product, right? And it's just skis. It's the only thing that matters. And I feel like this coming from a company like K2, where the end goal is just pump out as many skis as you possibly can and sell more skis and sell more skis. Environmentalism is not number one, and creating a product that's more sustainable is not number one. Whereas with Wonder, it seems like that's very much the opposite.
Yeah, totally. We kind of started with a sustainable kind of mindset. I mean, we very much dislike sustainability as a word because I feel like it's misused in so many ways. I mean, if you're in business, there really is no way to be sustainable. Um, or taking virgin materials and then, the majority of them are going into the landfill.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, the amount of impacts, with how our supply chains are set up, and I don't know, just like the whole scope of being in business is totally, I think it feels kind of unsustainable. We prefer to call ourselves like a responsible company,
Yeah.
that we're trying to do the most responsible and conscientious thing, for our environment with kind of the framework that has been built for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just kind of, most all businesses kind of rely on the framework that has been set up for the last couple hundred years. And we only have access to materials based on, that setup.
Yeah. Do you, on that note, do you think that skiing is inherently bad for the environment? Like, I mean, that's a thing that I think a lot of people struggle with, because I think the easy answer is yes, but everybody wants to say no. Like, is it bad for the environment? Is there a way to get it to a point where where our impact on the environment as skiers is so minimal that at one point we can say no?
Yeah, I think in the current climate, I think our impacts like outweigh kind of the negating forces out there. I think potentially there is a way. I mean, like, in all honesty, like, carbon isn't necessarily bad. Waste isn't necessarily bad. It's just the amount that we waste, the
Right.
amount that we consume, and the amount of like overproduction of carbon currently. And I think, we have the ability to work on all of these problems. We have the manpower and the brain power to solve these problems. We just kind of need people to adopt better habits, essentially. I guess not necessarily only on the consumer level, but higher up. I mean, I was just listening to a conversation about how in our school systems, like there are lobbyists who are lobbying to not put environmental, like climate change wording into literature and into our textbooks. And that's happening from, from like I don't know, a bad place. Essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
to,
Yeah. No, 100%. It's definitely coming from a negative place. Like there's no other way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the petroleum industry is lobbying to get that out so they can, continue business as usual.
Quick interruption in the episode for a sponsor read. I feel like a long time ago I was like, oh no, we're not going to do mid-roll. Like we're doing mid-rolls because they're better, and honestly, it's a good breakup in conversation. And we have a great sponsor to break up that conversation. That sponsor is Muir Energy. Muir is the shit. Like straight up, I don't know how to say it any different. This is a fast-burning energy gel that doesn't taste like garbage. I think I said doesn't taste like butt the other day in my post. But they have all kinds of flavors. They're made of real food with real ingredients. They are vegan, organic, paleo, gluten-free, non-GMO. And this particular one, which happens to be my favorite color, which is blueberry bergamot, has only 5 ingredients. Like that's what you want to see when you get a freaking energy gel. It doesn't need 400 things. It's just a little thing that's in your pocket that you're like, save me. You pull it out and you eat it. So get yourself some Muir Energy at www.muirenergy.com. I only say the www because it bothers Ethan. But go to muirenergy.com and get yourself some hydration, some energy gels. They also have this new flavor, or I guess it's an old flavor that they're bringing back. In, what was it called, Ethan? Sunflower? Sunflower. That's the whole flavor. It's just called sunflower. It's amazing. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of everything that they have so far. My actual, like I keep saying, blueberry bergamot is my favorite color because I meant to say my favorite flavor and it was an accident and long story. That was actually the whole story. But cashew lemon is probably the most underrated flavor that they make. It's really, really good. Cacao almond, also really good. So get yourself some Muir. Use promo code Out of Bounds to save 15% off on your purchase. That is up from 10% on the last deal that we ran. 15% on your purchase. And if you say blueberry bergamot is my favorite color in the notes, in the order notes, they promise to send you a gift. Back to our episode with Pep.
Yeah, it's a crazy argument to even have at this point, and it's a crazy thing to think that there are people out there like this that that it's in their best interest to be like, okay, like, and climate change doesn't exist, or I don't know, like global warming isn't a thing, or whatever the verbiage that you want to use. It seems like that's an insane thing, but on the other side of it, it's actually happening. Like you said, like it's in tech, like it's getting removed from textbooks. It's not like this open conversation where it should be this thing that everybody's kind of collectively buying into. Like if there's one issue that everybody should just agree on, it's climate change, right? Like I think that should be a really non-politicized issue, but somehow it has become one of the more politicized issues. And I'm never going to understand it, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, I guess I can understand it from the people who have the power and they want to continue making as much money as possible.
I guess, but like if that affects everybody long term, right? Like it affects those people's grandkids, it affects their kids, it affects their own lives potentially too. Like there's and what, we're gonna wait until it's too late and just be like, oh fuck, we missed that one. Like we just like,
yeah.
like, is that what the plan is? I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think of it in the same light as I think of like sugars, essentially. I don't know what you're drinking
Sierra
there,
Nevada.
but yeah. But like you go into like a Maverick for per se, or like any grocery store, and you see like the arrangement of products, mostly, it's Coke and Pepsi products, and they all have like 80% of your daily value in sugar in one drink.
Yeah.
And like we have the knowledge that says like that's not good for us, and like that will cause health problems down the road and whatnot. And then you have this little section on the side that's like fairly healthy drinks.
Yeah.
That's kind of the same thing. And like the majority of people who go into shop for a drink, they're gonna drink in like this section that has tons and tons of sugar.
Yeah.
um and the other people are like, hello, we're healthy,
Yeah.
we're over here in this little box.
trying really hard to get out of that little box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but there's both of those. I think they're huge issues. I think the sugar one is a much larger it feels like a much more unattainable goal. I think the climate change one, it feels like there's like a breaking point where like everybody's kind of getting closer and closer and closer every year, but it's just not happening fast enough. The sugar thing, I think it's fuck all. I don't think that's getting fixed ever, dude. I'm sorry. I don't see that getting fixed anytime soon. People are including me, full on addicted to that shit.
Oh yeah.
It's
Big
crazy.
time.
It's crazy. And it's in everything, right? Like every Red Bull athlete is like pushing this thing that has so much sugar in it and so many other things. And like I drink a ton of Red Bull for no reason other than like I'm used to that like crack open the can sensation. Like I try to replace every time
Right.
that's what it is. It's that sensation of cracking open a can to a certain extent that does it for a lot of people. And it's like, oh, this is going to give me energy. And it's not how it works, especially after you drink a million of them. But it's, I've like tried to replace seltzer in my life, like just drinking seltzers with that to try to get some of that, but it's just not, I don't know. This is a different conversation for a different day,
Yeah.
like my dietary restrictions and my dietary needs. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I hope we get to a point that it all comes close, that everybody kind of gets on the same page before it's too late. Because on one hand, I'm optimistic, and on the other hand, I'm just like, we're fucked. Everybody's fucked.
Yeah, totally. I'm in the same boat. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was really like empowered from hearing about like what Wonder Alpine was doing through Matt Sturbins, who kind of helped develop this brand from the ground up. Was like, you have the opportunity to, have a greater impact on how we consume and how we look at products. And I don't know, that was really compelling. And one of the reasons why I joined on.
And I assume it was Matt that approached you, when they approached you to come on board, what were your initial thoughts? Like, what were there other offers on the table? Was this the only thing that was out there for you? And like, what made you actually be like, okay, this is what I have, like, this seems like the right fit. It seems like it's what I have to do.
Yeah, so I was still under contract with K2 for another year. And Matt approached me, I guess it was in April, and he approached me just to come and test skis. He had been talking about this project that he was doing, and kind of relaying, all of the interesting details of the molecular foundry and how they can create all these different kind of base structures for other materials and into things that we use in our everyday life. And so I was already kind of like, I was very interested in the project. And so he just asked me to test some skis. And then he's like, well, we're looking to launch this ski brand in July. Like, what do you think about joining on? I was like, well, I'm under contract. I can't. I'm really interested. Like, how about you get a proposal together, and we can kind of work out the details and see if this is going to be a fit for me. And I'll also talk to K2 and see if I can terminate my agreement early. And both of those things worked out. We kind of ironed out the detail of my job position and title, and I was able to get out of that contract and pursue this. But yeah, so it wasn't super straightforward. It wasn't like, oh, my contract's up for renewal. Like, do I want to explore other options? It was like this option kind of came to the table.
Oh,
Sorry about
very
that.
good. How did K2 take it? Like, how was that conversation?
At the time, they were like, "Oh, that's a great opportunity. We'll go back to, our higher ups and see what we can do to like make a better offer to you, to kind of compensate." And what they came back with was just kind of unrealistic for where I was in my career. And I just saw so much more value in joining on to something that I really believed in. Plus, it gave me tons of benefits. I now have had a family of 2, and wanted to, of course, look out for their well-being. And yeah, I saw it as a way to kind of stay in the industry and stay, somewhat relevant, and have be part of something that is seeking to do better. Is the real bottom line.
Yeah, I think that's it's an admirable thing, but it's also, like you said, it's a way to kind of keep yourself involved in the industry long term too. And I think that's a really important thing, especially as you're like, I don't know, everybody gets older, and as you get older, you're like, what do I do next? Do I really want to be hucking myself for money for forever? Like, I don't know. That seems like a difficult decision to make. But at the same time, when an opportunity like this comes up, I think for what it's worth, I think it's the right choice, and I think it's a great thing. When Wonder first announced the launch, I was a little skeptical because I was like, okay, does the world need another ski brand, right? And I think that was literally my only issue. I was like, okay, there's another ski brand now. There's so many ski brands, and how is this going to be different? I think very quickly people realize like this is different. Like there is something that's inherently different about the product, and that's a positive thing. And I think a lot of the newer brands that you're starting to see launch, like you look at 1,000 Skis, like the goal is very different. They're like, we want to control our own product, and we want to have minimal impact on the environment. I think Wonder is not on the opposite side of that, but they're on a totally different level of that, I guess, where it's like the actual materials being used are just straight up better. Like, I mean, you're using algae. Like, it's crazy to me that's what you guys are using to make skis, and I would have never thought about something like that until it came out. But what does your day-to-day look like? What do you actually do on a day-to-day? Especially like, okay, today, for example, what does it look like for you?
Well, so let's see. Right now we're gearing up to unveil our snowboard lineup. We have a split and solid coming out. We also updated our Intention 110 to a 108 and made it a bit more like all mountain free ride focused. So we have those 2 projects in the works. So of course you need to design a website, get all the copy and marketing assets together. All of those skis and snowboards were out at various magazine tests. But yeah, it's about like, bringing all of the information together in one place, getting all of the content and copy together for implementation, and coming up with promotions and that sort of thing. So today I got in a bit early. I dropped my kids off at a camp up at Alta, so I was able to. It's nice coming in early because you get like at least like half hour to an hour where it's fairly quiet and you have some like focus time. But responding to emails, we're also like doing a giveaway with a bunch of other partners. So just kind of managing that. We have a whole other side to Wonder, which is an event platform. So we have like 3 different base events. We have like an educational event, which are called the Rendezvous. We have the Roost, and we have what we call the Wonder Outposts, and that's a series of events that we do with our retail partners kind of across the states, and hopefully we'll expand to some international locations. But yeah, it's like kind of getting all of just like the full package of those offerings together, and then presenting them in kind of a clear and cohesive way. But all those events are actually free to the WNDR Alpine community. Like if you buy a pair of skis, you get access to all these events, which I think is pretty unique, and it offers the ability for our consumers to get educated on current practices in the backcountry, and kind of up their knowledge game, because of course we feel a bit responsible as a backcountry brand, sending people out into kind of an untamed environment.
Yeah.
So that was like a huge tangent. Back to my day to day.
You have no idea what there's been way worse, dude. That is not a huge tangent.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
back
we're also
to
we decided to bring our ski design not ski design, but our top sheet design in-house. So I'm kind of managing getting all of those together and signing off on those projects. So there's a lot of kind of back and forth with the design team to review changes and make sure everything looks nice and pretty. Yeah, above that, like, yeah, managing different campaigns.
Yeah, that's the gist.
That's the gist of today. Yes.
Can I ask you a very serious question? What actually sells skis? Like, and maybe there's not like a straight up answer to that, but you mentioned a few things like top sheet design and like doing events and doing ski mag tests. Like, what actually sells skis at the end of the day, right? Like, because that's always been an interesting thing to me, is people attach themselves to these brands, and I'm always curious to know what brand, like if brands are conscious of this or if it just happens because of the collection of things that they do. But you see it a lot with brands like an ON3P or recently a Season or J Skis, for example, or Forefront, like any of these companies, and now Wonder, people are attaching themselves to. So what do you think it is that sells, that actually makes people buy skis, right? Because I think everybody can get behind the message, but pulling out their credit card is a totally different thing.
Yeah, I agree. If you figure that out, I'm just feel free to let me know.
I don't know, man. I always want to know from the other perspective, right? Like I come from retail, on the retail side, half the time it's graphic, right? Like it's like I want the one that's and I want the one that I can afford, right? Like those are the two things that are the majority of ski sales, right? I think most people that walk into a ski shop specifically just walk in because they need to buy new skis, right? Not because they're looking for something specific. At least especially on a local level. On the internet, and when you're selling stuff at a higher level, it's different, right? Because people have access to everything. They're more educated shoppers. Pulling them into your brand is a lot harder. So that's kind of why I'm asking you, because it's different when you're selling, when you can buy skis directly. Even if you have retail partners, like that, there's a lot more that goes into that, and your marketing strategy and your customer acquisition strategy has to be totally different than I don't know, for example, a K2 that just is on the wall and has the name recognition, right? Like you can sell a K2 all day long because people know the name. Like people buy Hondas all the time because they know the name. Like they don't have to like look it up and see what it's about. They already know. So
yeah, exactly. And a lot of those companies, like they have a reputation, they have street cred. But I mean, I think first and foremost, you have to have a product that performs. Like if we would have came out with a product that wasn't good at all, like that would have been terrible.
Yeah, and
been
rough.
That would have been like the first impression that people had. They're like, oh, these these skis, this company is like way more conscious, but the skis just aren't very good. And that would get out. So I think like maintaining quality is huge. But yeah, it's like about your brand messaging, brand story, and then getting everything condensed in a way that's digestible, especially for like an online platform.
Yeah, right.
Right. Like, yeah, we want to maintain kind of a direct to consumer model, but how do you get people to actually swipe their card kind of sight unseen in essence? Like you're relying on, the people, the experts or the people at the business, you have to develop a trust with those, your consumers, so that they feel comfortable, buying your skis sight unseen. I think Matt has done a good job. Like he came from Forefront. He has a lot of history in the ski industry and building really high quality products. So I think that certainly helped in the foundation, because there were a lot of people who rode Forefront skis and were like, we know Matt is all about quality and customer service and all of these different other business components that are really that really like relate directly to the consumer. Sorry, are you still hearing me?
Yeah.
I think my pods died.
That's okay. You're actually just
Cool.
as clear as before.
Okay, great. So yeah, I mean, right now, I think it's really great that we do have retailers in most of the states that have mountains in the United States, so people can go and touch and feel our products when someone's buying a $700 pair of skis. Like a lot of people want to see them first or want to demo them, and we do offer demos. I think in the first and second year, we offered to ship a pair of demos to wherever you were. It didn't feel right to us to do that because of the carbon impact that takes place, but we felt like we had to get these skis on people's feet in order for them to really feel comfortable, and we ended up getting quite a bit of sales that way.
It's funny that demos still work.
What's that?
It's funny that demos still work. Like that thing, like people just going out and trying like that. It's crazy to me that way of selling skis is still like the easiest way to turn somebody on. Once somebody demos a ski, you'll never get them to shut up about it. And it could be only like conditions based, experience based. They had a good day, like whatever happened that day. If whatever ski they have on their foot, if it's even okay, it like shuts down everything else. Nobody else's opinion matters. They will buy that ski, and that's like the most direct way I think that you can sell a ski. But you're right, like shipping skis to people probably doesn't have the most positive carbon impact in the entire world.
No, I mean, it was carbon neutral shipping, but regardless.
Still, I guess that's better.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with it. Well, we also had this dilemma, like we're selling backcountry skis, like how do you actually facilitate a demo to the backcountry consumer? It's really challenging. Of course, our skis work great in the resort as well. But that wasn't our focus. And anyway, that was, I guess, our solve for the first problem. And of course, with backcountry skiing, then you need to, hire guides and make sure everybody has some liability waivers signed and all that.
What is the percentage, would you say, of people that are buying your skis and putting an Alpine binding on them versus putting a touring binding on them? Is it the vast majority of people are aware of what they're buying, or a lot of people are still buying them and putting Alpine, or like slapping an Alpine binding on them just because it's a wonder, it has that brand attachment, because they want to buy a ski that you're on or that they know Sturban's like it is involved with? What does that split look like, do you think?
I think it's about 70-30, 70 backcountry oriented, 30% resort. Yeah.
That's quite a bit, man. Like that's a pretty good hold on that market, especially if you can, like, I don't know, the more skis you guys sell. It's funny because like the more, it's this weird conundrum where like the more skis you guys sell, it is better, and it's like it's a great thing, and then there's just more skis out in the world, and like you're producing more and you build more, and like I hope that you guys gain more of that market share so that it is like a positive impact on the environment long term. But it's just funny how that whole system works. You're selling skis. We're in the selling skis business, right? Like you got to sell more, you got to make more, and there's obviously added costs and there's added impact to that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I guess I think about it this way, like the more skis that we sell, it's kind of like showcasing the material capabilities and using a more sustainable resource.
Right.
So this resource can be utilized in a whole lot of other industrial applications, consumer applications, etc. So you're essentially like adopting a new resource to create products that do the same thing that all these other products do, but are designed particularly for that product specific application. And so your overall impact will be greater in the long run than kind of the short term, oh, we're building more skis or creating more things that aren't necessarily like necessary for our survival per se.
Yeah.
But it's that like, I don't know, that like outer space, like I'm thinking out here, not necessarily here.
Right. Thinking big picture. I love that. And I don't mean to sound like I think that selling more skis is a bad thing. I think selling more skis is a good thing for sure. And I think that you guys are setting a good example for how to do that in a positive way, right? Because, or at least being responsible in the way that you do it, right? And kind of being very clear about what the intention is with what you guys are putting out into the world. And I think that that's something that every ski brand should take a little bit more out of, because you see a lot of this like fake environmentalism in skiing all the time, where people just slap an eco label on something because it's going to make people go, oh, like that's better, right? Like there's so much of that happens in skiing that nobody ever really digs past that surface level. And I think that you guys kind of have done that. Like the material's straight up just sustainable. Like it is something, and I know we don't like sustainable because it gets used it's okay. But I don't know. I like the way that it's being done. I like the way that it's presented. And I think the consumer, and you can tell me, is responding well to it, because I've heard a bunch of people asking for those skis, and I've seen a bunch of people, and a bunch of my friends are riding those skis. So it's got to be working, and it's got to be clicking in a positive way.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that hard to get? Like, what does it look like for you long term? Like, what does success look like for a company like Wonder?
I mean, I think we continue down this path, and we're able to like, we're able to look at all the different ski materials that we're using, and create those materials for in-house design. But as one, like for Wonder as an overall brand, we'd like to create as many more sustainable products across the outdoor space. We will be coming to market with an apparel line fairly soon that has the first 100% bio-based wicking application, which is super cool.
That's
it's cool to have that first one of a kind material application. But yeah, I think just like broadening our product scope in a very methodical and thought out manner that kind of takes all of the supply chain issues into account, ethical practices and the manufacturing of the products, and continuing to do good in the world, and put our money back into designing more consciously created products.
Yeah, I love that. Well, cool. That's kind of, I mean, honestly, that's really what I wanted to talk to you about. So this has been great. My last thing is, where can people find you? Where can people find Wonder? where can people check out the skis more? Kind of give me the whole plug, give me the rundown, like where's it all at?
Absolutely. So we design and manufacture everything in Salt Lake City. I'm down at the office pretty much 5 days a week, unless you get down here in the wintertime. And then my schedule's all over the place. But yeah, I'm here. We're making skis. We just finished our showroom, which hasn't been like the building and structure is complete, but we haven't moved anything in there yet. We're hoping to do kind of a grand opening, hopefully in September, but you'll be able to find more out about that on wonderalpine.com. You can follow us on Instagram, of course, for updates there on what we're doing and how we're progressing. Same with online. Or else you'll find me at a pool during the summer or out on the bike trails. Yeah, or going to a regular yoga class.
Do you do a lot of yoga?
Yeah. I probably do yoga like 4 to 5 times a week.
What? That's so much yoga. Does it feel like, do you
Yeah.
feel good? Like genuinely, do you feel good?
Oh, absolutely.
That's crazy, man. I do like 2 yoga classes a month and I feel like somebody beat the shit out of me. But maybe it's because I'm doing 2 a month.
Yeah, I don't necessarily always go to like a yoga class, but I'll do yoga at my house or have like an abbreviated like yoga or meditation session and then ride my bike or
do
something like that. But I've got to get exercise in every day or else I'd turn into a terrible person.
I love that. I think more people definitely need to adopt that mantra into their life because it's really important. I'm the same way. Like if I don't do something active every single day, or if I don't get outside every single day, even if it's fucking disgusting out, I lose my mind. I feel like I've just been staring at a screen and probably had been staring at a screen all day. So it's nice to get some outside time, and hopefully if people take anything from this episode, I hope that's what they take away.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's a vicious cycle. Like if you don't get outside and you feel kind of terrible, then you like just end up eating.
Yeah,
I'll just like eat a bunch of stuff that I overeat, and I'm like, now I feel even worse. Like, what the hell am I doing? And then I go exercise and I'm like not as hungry and I want to eat more healthy. It's so funny.
It's it's a very vicious cycle that you can get into, but nonetheless, Pep, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time. Glad we finally got to do this. I'm glad it all worked out, and I appreciate taking time from your work day to do this thing.
Yeah, of course. You're welcome. The pleasure was all mine.